I hope you're good today. My video today, the topic is we are all one. So, what do I mean by that? Well, we're all ultimately the same. Yes, we have different bodies, etc., but the core of our being, so the thing that's never changed in our life, is always the same. So, we're all ultimately this awareness, which means we are, so there's other words for awareness: consciousness, space, stillness. That's what we are in our essence. So from when we were young, from when we were children, to now, to when we get old, at the whole time, the only thing that's never changed in our life is the fact that we are aware, the fact that we can observe things, the fact that we can actually observe our thoughts, that we aren't our thoughts, the fact that we can observe emotions, all of these things. Hi Ramos. Get distracted by comments, so I'm just gonna turn those off. Just 1 second. Okay. Yeah, so we're all this awareness with the space. We can observe our sense perceptions, we can observe our thoughts, we can observe our emotions. But the point is, we're always this observer. So we can always, from the moment we're very young to the moment we're old, we're just this observer of everything that goes around. So as I said, we can observe our thoughts, for example. So that means that the thoughts that go around in your head, the mind chat, is not who you are. I've talked about this a number of times, but I'm going to just briefly summarize it again, because this is the key thing that creates all the suffering in the world and the division between the fact that we're all ultimately the same. So we're identified with our thoughts. So we believe that the voice in the head is us. So it might say things like, I'm Steph, I'm white, I'm a female, I'm X years old, I have this job, okay, this is who I am. And yes, on one level, of course, that is true. Like, that's the surface level reality. Yes, that's all true. But if you dig a bit deeper, all those things that I just talked about can change potentially. Okay, maybe not, maybe not the skin color. But the other things are like, forget the body stuff. The other stuff that we use to make ourselves who we think we are can all actually change. So my job could change. So my relationship status can change. Attributes I think about myself can change. So maybe if I think I'm strong and healthy now, that could change so that I'm not. So all of these things can change, but what doesn't change is the fact that we are aware. So our bodies change. I'm youngish at the moment, but I'm going to be old maybe one day if I survive that long. So your body changes all the time, but what doesn't change? It's the fact that you're aware. It's that you're this base level of awareness, and that's the same for every other person as well. So it doesn't matter if you're black or you're white or you're gay or you're straight or if you have a disability or you don't, or you have what else? Sexual orientation. Yeah, I've talked about that. What other things? If you have a certain job or you have a different type of job, so maybe you're a high flyer in the city and you're earning millions, or you're a janitor or a street cleaner or whatever. It doesn't matter what your job is. All of these things, skin color, sexual orientation, job, all of these things are just surface level phenomena. They're just things on the surface. These things can change. And so what doesn't change, as I said, is this awareness, the fact that we are all aware, we're all one. And this is the same with every human. And so that means that we're all one. We're all ultimately the same at this base level reality. I am aware of my sense perceptions. I'm aware of my thoughts. I'm aware of my emotions. I can observe emotions pass through. I'm not the emotions. I'm not the thoughts. I'm not the sense perceptions. But I'm aware of it all. And it's the same with everyone else. They are the same as they are the observer too. But the problem is most people believe that they are their thoughts. They believe that the thinking that goes on their head is who they are. So if they think, I don't like this person because of their colour, they believe this thought process and they believe that that is who they are. When actually the observer that can see that thought process that happens, and actually they can change that. They can actually, it might be a thought which could have been passed down from their parents, for example. Like, for example, black people are whatever, or Asian people are this, or whatever. So that could have been passed down from your parents, and therefore you believe that voice, which maybe your parents have told you, to be your thought processes, and therefore you believe that you don't like black people because of this, you don't like Asian people because of this, you don't like gay people because of that, whatever it is. That can have just been conditioned behaviour. So it can come from your parents, it can come from society, it can come from the media, which you believe that because you want the sense of self, you start believing certain things in the media. And that's what creates separation on our planet. That's what creates, because we're not in touch with who we are, which is this awareness, and we believe that we are this mind, it creates a separation. So we think that because we're a certain way, and then we have these certain thoughts that we believe to be true, that we are those thoughts, and therefore we're all different and we're all separate. And on one level, yes, of course, we are separate, we have different bodies and so on, but at a deeper level, we are all the same. As I say, we are this awareness and this consciousness. And so what really helps to actually really realize this, because I'm not saying believe what I'm saying, but you've got to just practice this yourself, is to actually be present with things. And so this is what I talk about all the time. It's about stepping out of this mind, which always judges things. It judges people. It judges you. It judges everything. It has an opinion on everything. And generally it's not positive, because the aim of it is to separate you. So it's to try and give you a sense of self. But that is not ultimately who you are. It's not the sense of self, the thoughts and so on. It's the fact that your awareness, that is your true sense of self, that you can be present with things. So stepping out of that mind. So it really helps to just practice like doing things in your day where you're not thinking, you step out of the mind. So for example, if you're having a shower, actually feel, right, how does the water feel on my body? How does it feel? Is it warm? Is it cold? And if you use some soap, you can pour the soap and see, how does that smell? Use your senses, use your sense of smell, use your sense of touch. So instead of always been thinking about stuff, so maybe like, oh, I hate all of what's going on with the riots, and I hate the fact that people are not with the virus, that people that are not social distancing, or they are social distancing, or this is right, or this is wrong, and this racism stuff is wrong, and I believe in this and that and that. It's always, that's what's going, because it's been thrown at you through the media. And what the idea of a peace, if you want a peaceful life, is to be able to turn off this mind chat. And a good way to do that is just, as I say, in your everyday life, be in the shower and then use the soap and smell, use your sense perceptions and say, I don't want to go there. I don't want to always be in conflict. I don't want to always be thinking about stuff all the time, because no one knows the answer. Everyone has different perspectives of things. And the only way that we bring peace on this planet, so peace, which means less fighting, less wars, less corruption, less judgment towards others, no matter what is going on, that you have to be the change that you want to see in the world. So that's a famous quote, you probably heard it. So be the change that you want to see. So if you're getting angry about racism, for example, or getting angry about, for example, people not following corona rules, or people that are following them, if you're feeling angry about this stuff, if you're feeling antagonistic and you feel like you want to fight someone that's opposite to you, that's not going to create peace on the planet, is it? Because you're polarizing again, you're making someone wrong and you're making yourself right. And it's always going to, if people don't stop doing that, there'll never be peace. It's always going to be conflict. It's going to be conflict between people and the rest of the world, really, animals, the planet, etc. So be the change that you want to see in the world. So do you want peace? Do you want peace in the world? I think pretty much every single person ultimately wants peace. They want to feel peaceful with themselves. They want to feel relaxed, which is turning off this mind chat, and they want to see peace out there. And they want to see, no one enjoys seeing violence towards others. And if they do, it's because they're really stuck in this ego of, anyway, we don't need to go there. But vast majority, pretty much everybody wants to see peace. And so to be the change that you want to see, you have to embody peace yourself. And that's the only way change can happen. And it all starts with you. So you have to embody the peace before you see it reflected on the outside of the world. So if everyone did this and they realised that the primary goal of their life, to be at peace, is to be at peace with themselves, and the way to do this is to just turn off this mind that is not who we are. That is the ultimate That's the only solution if you want to see peace on the planet, basically. So it all starts with you. It all starts with, can I be at peace? Can I feel like calm within myself? So you might have loads of good intentions of like, I want to go and protest for these black rights, and this is all wrong, and so these police are all wrong, and so I want to go and smash a load of cars and create a load of violence. Is that bringing peace to things? Yes, of course you want to make your point, but it doesn't need to go to that level of the violence. Or if you're creating that violence, then does that mean that is that creating peace or not? So the only way is, yes, you can take action, and whatever that way that is, you can protest, you can do lots of things. But you and only you are responsible for your state of consciousnness, which means how you feel in the moment. So you can make a point, you can take action, you can say this is wrong, and I believe this is wrong, and I want to make change in this certain way. But if you yourself are not at peace, which means present, which means mindful, which means aware of what's going on in your own body, emotions, thoughts, and so on, if you're not that aware like that, then you're not going to be able to create peace. So you might have like, oh, I want to do all these good deeds, but if you yourself are all conflicted, that energy is just going to be transferred to other people. So if you're feeling angry but you're trying to do a good deed, that anger energy is just going to be transferred onto other people around you. So that's it. Hopefully you can see that that won't work. Like, that's not going to happen. It's going to just create more conflict, which we don't want. We want a peaceful world where everyone is ultimately like one. Everyone ultimately knows that they are the same. They have this level of awareness which has never changed in your life. And it's only the external things that change, but that awareness is always there. So, as I mentioned, the end of suffering has to start with you. So are you at peace? And then when you go, for example, if you're going shopping and you're looking at picking up your groceries or whatever with the cashier, it's easy for us humans to judge straight away. So if we see someone, we look at their fate and their body and their clothes, and then we probably have loads of mental commentary going on. So we have like, oh, this person is fat, or this person is black, or this person is Asian, or this, so this means this. You probably have loads of kind of commentary, and some of it might be under the water a bit, so you have certain beliefs about people. What I suggest you do, instead of listening to that stuff going in your head, it's been conditioned behaviour, so it's come from the media or your parents or some external circumstances, is to just look someone in the eyes. So when you talk to them, just look into the eyes. And they say the eyes are the windows to the soul, and I think there's a lot of truth to that. So if you look at someone in the eyes, it's almost like, if you do this thing called eye gazing, where you can actually look at someone for a long time in the eyes, and it can be a stranger. You can like just do it with a friend, you can do it with anyone. And when you do that, people realize something. They realize that they're ultimately like the same. And actually, there was a thing on Derren Brown. I don't know if you guys watched that, but there was his latest show. Can't remember the name of it. It was basically, anyway, the point of it was to get this American guy he claimed that he said he was racist against who was it, Mexicans, I think, or something. Don't quote me on that. But anyway, what Derren made them do was basically, so this is Derren Brown, they made them sit in the room and eye gaze. So this means just staring into the eyes of each other for, I think it was a few minutes. And what happened was that the guy that believed all these, that he was racist, and they hated like Mexicans or whatever, when they stared into each other's eyes, what happened was something quite amazing. The American guy who believed that he was really racist against this Mexican, with Mexicans, when he stared into this Mexican guy's eyes, he just started crying. And why? Why did he start crying? It's because he realized that ultimately they're the same. He said all he wanted to do once he was crying was hug this other man. And it gives me shivers just like talking about this, because this is what changes the world, like this kind of stuff. I've got goosebumps now. So he realized that when he stared at this person in the eyes, this other guy in the eyes, that they were the same. And he just started crying, and he hugged him, and he was just like, he realized that all this mental chat, this racism stuff that had been going on in his head, was just bullshit. Like, it was conditioned behavior. It was like, of course, yes, they have different nationalities or different skin colors or whatever, but he realized that they're ultimately the same. And how beautiful is that? That if that's all it takes to do is just look at someone in the eyes. So you could think, oh, for example, I hate Indians or whatever it is. What would be amazing to see would be to have people to do this more. And actually, there's something I might try and do, work out how to do, is to get people to do this. So you sit with someone that you think that you don't like for whatever reason. And maybe you've had a bad experience with them, like whatever it is. Sit with someone and just look into their eyes for a bit. And what you'll notice is actually that something quite weird happens. That you might feel really strange sensations going on, and it's kind of like you're looking at yourself. And ultimately it is, because you are all ultimately one, like one consciousness, split into different forms. Anyway, we didn't go down that road. That's quite deep, but basically that's the way that you can realize that we're all one, and this is what we need right now, is this unity. It's And this is why I love I don't know if Angel, you're ever going to watch this, but Angel, I do a lot of dancing, and Angel's company is called Unity, and it's all about bringing people from different cultures, like all together, just to dance, and the dancing there is not to do with language. So we're not like, you're not in your thinking mind, you're in perception mode, and when you're dancing with people, that's when you realize kind of like that you're so in the moment, you're not thinking, and that's why the atmosphere there is so amazing. The energy is so good, and it brings everyone together, and you realize that you're all the same, kind of. There's no language, there's no talking, and it's just amazing. So it's all about unity this time. It's about being one. It's about not creating a separation between yourself and other people, and realizing that we're all the same. We have different level of conditioning. So yes, I've got certain I've been told certain things at school or whatever. Another person might have been told something else. For example, women are not as good as men or whatever, and they believe that. So they'd say, if they see me, they'd say I'm inferior because I'm a woman compared to a man. And we all have that kind of conditioning. But the way if we all step out of that, so we practice by doing certain things in our day where we're not lost in thought. We can do this by, when we're talking to people, look at them in the eyes instead of looking down there, scanning their whole body and looking and forming judgments about what they're wearing or what they look like, whatever. This is how the world changes. This is how we all realize we're one, and we all come together, and this is how we ultimately create a peaceful world. And it's actually the only way that we can do it. We can't do it through violence. We can't do it through not being at peace ourselves. So I recommend that you try these little practices. So as I say, for example, having a shower, being in the present moment. How does the water feel on my skin? Thoughts start coming up. Oh, I can't believe all these, there's all these violent protests are so wrong. So, okay, can I take any control over that situation? Like, can I do anything? And probably not. So just say, okay, I don't need to go there. That's going to really affect my peace, and I can't do anything to change that. So why not just be at peace? So just give those things a go, and it can be simple as also having a drink, for example, just tasting it. How does it taste? And then have thought. We might notice thoughts again, or I don't know what, like men are better than women, or whatever it is. Just realize that that's still just a thought, and that separation isn't helping anyone. We're all one. Yeah. So that was just a really there's a lot of words there, and hopefully you got something out of it. My idea was just to remind everyone that we're all one, and we should come together and not react to things. Basically, just realize that if we want a peaceful world, we have to be the change that we want to see in the world, and that means that we have to be peaceful ourselves, and that means noticing our reactions and noticing what we're doing, noticing our thought processes, noticing that we're not the thoughts, and we can actually choose to act differently from our conditioning. So yeah, I just wanted to say that, and I hope you guys have a peaceful, in your head and externally, rest of the day.